This morning, it is my pleasure to introduce someone who has and continues to be at the forefront of the fight against those who would do us harm. He has served as our ambassador to the United Nations, where his forceful and unapologetic defense of our country and the audacity, yes, audacity, to demand UN reform cost him a lot of angst and anguish, because, my friends, the UN leadership and the majority of the members of the United Nations didn't like that message one bit. As Under-Secretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, he often found himself at odds, if you can imagine this, with other senior U.S. policy officials who at times seemed too willing and too eager to compromise. He held firm, his voice was heard, and today America is a better country. He is the author of Surrender is Not an Option, a member of the American Conservative Union Board of Directors, a great American and a true patriot. Please welcome Ambassador John Bolton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, welcome to the third day of Cpac, and very glad you're here. I want to start off with a sad note, but I think it's important that you know this morning former Secretary of State Alexander Haig died. He was a great patriot, a true public servant. And certainly our thoughts and prayers are with his family. I want to spend some time this morning talking about the current state of play in America's foreign policy, to describe a little bit about what I think motivates the President, to describe some of his failures to date, and then to talk a little bit about the further dangers that we face going forward. And to look at this in a very, very fundamental way. On January the 20th, 2009, Barack Obama was not qualified to be President of the United States. Today, exactly 13 months later, Barack Obama is still not qualified to be President of the United States. Now, with that happy beginning, let's look at the bases of where the President derives his foreign policy. First is, he doesn't care that much about foreign and national security policy. It's not what energizes him when he gets up in the morning. It's not where he spent his career. It's not uppermost on his mind. That makes him very different from almost every other American president since Franklin Roosevelt, but it's a fundamental fact. He'd rather talk about restructuring our health care system, restructuring our financial system, restructuring our energy system, well, you get the point. He doesn't really care that much about foreign policy. He addresses foreign policy issues when he has to, but that's not where his main interest is. Second, the President does not really see the rest of the world as dangerous or threatening to America. He made that clear during the campaign. He's made it clear in any number of his actions since then. We no longer have a global war on terror. He told us Iran was a tiny country. I believe he sees the inevitability of American decline as a kind of natural phenomenon. And this combination of views, he doesn't care that much about national security to begin with, and he doesn't think the world is a very threatening place, ties directly into the next characteristic. and that is that it's not that he concludes from this that it's right to be isolationist, as many others would. Instead, he brings to the presidency a belief in multilateralism unequaled since Woodrow Wilson. Listen to what the president said in September at the United Nations. "It is my deeply held belief that in the year 2009, more than any point in human history," aren't you glad you're alive when Barack Obama's alive? More than any point in human history, the interests of nations and peoples are shared. In an era where our destiny is shared, power is no longer a zero-sum game. No one nation can or should try to dominate another nation. No world order that elevates one nation or group or people over another will succeed. No balance of power among nations will hold." That's the president. Now listen to Woodrow Wilson. "The interests of all nations are also our own." He advocated in World War I peace without victory. Sounding familiar? President Wilson said there must be not a balance of power, but a community of power. Not organized rivalries, but an organized common peace founded on the moral force of the public opinion of the world. So this fits in with the final defining characteristic of President Obama. He is what I have called the first post-American president. Now let's be clear. Let's be clear, not un-American, not anti-American, post-American, beyond all that patriotism stuff. And I think it's clear because fundamentally the president doesn't believe in American exceptionalism. Now, this is a subject that itself can go on for a while, but we've believed in the exceptionalism of America right from the founding. Governor John Winthrop of the Plymouth Bay Colony said, "We must consider that we shall be as a city upon a hill." Ronald Reagan, in his inimitable way, amended that to say the shining city on a hill. Some have called it the New Jerusalem. But we have seen ourselves that way for a long time. And you know what? So have many foreign analysts. The first, in fact, to use the word exceptional to describe America was none other than a Frenchman. Alexis de Tocqueville, the great analyst in democracy in America, said the following: "The position of the Americans is therefore quite exceptional, and it may be believed that no democratic people will ever be placed in a similar one." Now, the president was asked on his first trip to Europe if he believed in American exceptionalism, and he gave a classic answer. He said in the first third of his answer, "Yes, I believe in American exceptionalism," and then in the second third of his answer, second two-thirds, he contradicted himself by saying, "Just as I believe the Brits believe in British exceptionalism and the Greeks in Greek exceptionalism." Now, you know, there are 192 members of the United Nations. He could have gone on, just as the Ecuadorians believe in Ecuadorian exceptionalism, just as the Burkina Fasosians believe in Burkina Faso exceptionalism, just as the Papua New Guineans believe in Papua New Guinean exceptionalism. Obviously, the real answer that he gives is that he doesn't believe in American exceptionalism, and even analysts of the administration favorable to the president have made the same, come to the same conclusion. Evan Thomas, a senior editor of the badly misnamed publication Newsweek, describing President Obama's speech at the 65th anniversary of D-Day, contrasting it with President Reagan's remarks on the 40th anniversary, Evan Thomas said the following: "Well, we were the good guys in 1984. It felt that way. It hasn't felt that way in recent years. So Obama's had really a different task. Reagan was all about America. You bet. Reagan was all about America.